Hi, yeah, it's Jackie here from the LGFA. Another Zoom call this afternoon, and we're taking another step back in time. And two former All Ireland winning captains. I'm very happy to say, and pleased, and delighted, and humbled, and honoured to have them on the line today. Caitríona McKeon from Wicklow 2011 is on my top left hand side of my screen, and on the bottom of my screen is Kathy Clarke from Louth, who was captain of the Louth team in 1998. Ladies, how are you doing today? Caitríona, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks very much, Jackie. Yeah, good to be in contact with people again.
Absolutely. And Caitríona, Kathy, your good self down below, how are you keeping? Kathy, you hearing me there?
Losing you. Yeah, I am. Yeah, certainly you were just breaking in a little bit
No
there.
problem, Kathy. It might be my
All
connection here.
right.
How are you today, Kathy?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks. And I suppose I better say I now live in Cavan because there'll be a lot of people pretty annoyed if I didn't say that, even though I did play with loud.
Okay, good to have that in. Good to make that clarification. We're all about the clarifications and getting things right here, Kathy. Kathy, I'm going to start with you. I'm going to take you back to 1998 and being captain of that Loud All Ireland winning team. What are your memories from those great days?
I suppose there's lots of memories for that from that year. Lots of really good memories. Winning the Leinster final in Carlow, that was really really good. And also then the All Ireland semi final. That was the one the year of the Omagh bombing, which was the one where it was delayed. We played Tyrone in the All Ireland semi final, and it was a home draw for us. So I suppose things are very different now compared to maybe then. So I do remember that it was quite strange, and you kind of felt sorry for the Tyrone team at that time,
Hmm.
having to come down to Louth and whatever after what had happened. And then I suppose obviously the All Ireland final itself, yes, it's the memories are very much there still of the whole day, and the whole going on the bus and what the warm up, all that. Yeah, very much so. It's all still there.
Yeah, absolutely, Kathy. And
Terrific
it was a
experience.
day obviously tinged with sadness for you as well, and we'll come to that in due course during the
Yeah.
conversation. Katrina, your memories of being an All Ireland winning captain. You obviously needed two bites of the cherry to get it done against New York.
We sure did. We found it, I think, the whole thing a bit overwhelming on the first day. We just couldn't settle in. We didn't get into full stride. So yeah, we took it to the draw, and we had the next day, 2 weeks later. We didn't even know where the game was going to be played. We hadn't a clue. But luckily, actually, on the same day, Cavan and Westmeath were playing, and they drew as well. So we were able to go for another day at Croke Park, thank God. And it's funny, every one of the girls, once the whistle went on the draw game, we were like, we've got this, the next one. We knew we hadn't played to our full capacity, so we knew we were going to push through without any doubt. So
Okay, why was that, Katrina? You just had that ultimate belief in yourselves, and you'd learned a lot from the first day that you believed there was lessons there that you could take into the replay.
absolutely. Well, the year before, we actually got knocked out by Louth, the semi-final, and that broke our hearts. It absolutely devastated us. So there was a lot of us actually contemplating whether to come back or not. So when we did decide to come back, we just gave it absolutely everything. We were such a knitted group of girls, and we just worked so hard for each other. And we just knew on the day, we were just like, this wasn't like our key players, even though we worked hard, nothing was kind of going fully our way. And we just knew, everybody just looked at each other in the dressing room afterwards. We were like, we've got this the next day, we know. We were just so determined not to let it pass us. Then after that, we had,
Well, defeat wasn't an option, Katrina.
yeah, absolutely. Without sounding too cocky, but we knew we hadn't played our best. So
Katrina, what's it like to go up on the steps of the Hogan stand and accept a trophy on behalf of your county, an All Ireland trophy?
wow, it's unbelievable. It's such a privilege. And every year you see like all the All Irelands, and they're walking up, and you can actually, as a captain, you're like, oh my God, I got to actually do that. So you kind of relive it every year, a couple of times a year, like when the ladies All Ireland is on, when the men's All Ireland is on, and you just, what an honor to be asked to be captain and to given that role. It never leaves you. I'm sure you're the same, Kathy. It just never
Yeah,
leaves
absolutely.
a feeling.
We're here.
Yeah, take up that point, Kathy. You're obviously part of a select band and a very exclusive group of people that have lifted All Ireland trophies on behalf of your county as captain.
Yeah, absolutely. And what Caitríona is saying there is very much so. When you do go up those steps, everybody dreams of saying that famous sentence, you know, "Tá or Sorm," and it is very special to get to say it. And the year we won, Ray Silk had been the captain of the Galway team that won the All Ireland, and that really stands out for me because, you know, he sang, and so there was an awful lot of messing with me then saying, "What are you singing? Are you singing the Turfman from RD? What are you singing?" So obviously, no, we didn't do that. But yes, it is. It's very special. It's very special. I'm very honoured, definitely very honoured, because I felt very privileged. I took up football later in life, shall we say, after college, you know, so there's very much the people that went before you, captains, that I always think about them, and people after you as well, you know, that I was incredibly lucky and very privileged to have got that honour.
Well, Kathy, did you tempt fate? Did you have a speech pre-written, or did you decide you'd go off the cuff when the time came to it?
I suppose you kind of do have, you know, you sort of half prepare. You have to remember like who you have to thank. And so I suppose with every ladies one, there's always loads of people that helped out, that went before you and that got you involved in the game, you know, personally, as well as obviously your club and the other clubs that are represented. You just have to make sure you remember everybody. But of course, you always leave somebody out. You definitely do. So. But yeah, I suppose you do. It's half prepared, I think, isn't it? Yeah.
What was your experience, Caitríona? Did you have a few notes written?
Like that, Kathy, I have to do the thank yous, but I had 5 bullet points made out, and then everything else was off the cuff. I don't think you can go up with a full ream because you're just so overjoyed everything, and then you don't want to be worrying about it on the pitch either. Do you know what I mean? It's the last thing you want to be thinking about. So I just jotted down 5 bullet points and I gave it to Louise Allen. And I said, "Louise, you just come by me afterwards." And she slipped it into my hand. But I didn't need it in the end. It just so happened it was just as a backup, just in case.
Brilliant. It's unbelievable, guys. You're both mothers, obviously. Kathy, what's your experience of lockdown been and the family unit? How have you managed to get through and survive what have been strange times for all of us?
You see, I suppose with us, both my husband and myself both work in the health sector, so it's been very much going to work. As you know, I know work has been different, but it's very much going to work, and we have 4 children here, so it's been like an early summer. The weather's been fabulous. The 4 kids have been at home. There were no technically formal state exams this year. One was college exams. So very much, you know, for us, it seemed very normal. When you're going out to work itself was very different. But yeah, no, it's been nice as a family unit as well, to be here, you know, all the time. So. And it's been quiet. I don't know with Caitríona, but I'm busy with coaching. I'm busy coaching with basketball. And so it was just the end of the basketball season and the start of football. And that's when it's a really hectic time. So all of a sudden, that was all gone for me. So yeah, I enjoyed the few weeks at home.
It's given you maybe a chance to step back and reflect a little bit, Kathy, yeah?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Big time. You know, I coach 2 basketball teams and I coach 2 football teams. So the kind of what we say, the shoulder months, you know, March, April time, and again, August, September time, they can be busy times because both sports are ongoing, you know. So yeah, it was definitely a step back, you know, for me. It was an enjoyable break.
Good. Caitríona, what was your experience like?
Maybe not as enjoyable as yours. You have a little 6-year-old boy who was very active. I found it challenging at times now, to be fair. Just strange times. I missed going out to work. I missed that daily interaction, I suppose. I'm a school teacher, and, you know, the online stuff was just so different to just been, you know, one-to-one with them and in front of them. But yeah, no, there was lots of walks, lots of forest nature walks, and out in the garden, and thank God we had the good weather. But yeah, we got through it, thankfully, and everybody that I know was safe and well. So, you know, that's the main thing that I think we have to do.
Absolutely, Caitríona. Schools will return as something resembling normal when the time comes. Not too far away now.
Here's hope. But I, for one, can't wait to get back to work.
Kathy, you mentioned you're working in the health service. What a challenging time this has been for the sector in general.
Absolutely, it was. I work as an occupational therapist with the HSE. So yes, and very much people's roles changed. My role changed. Our manager was redeployed, so myself and another girl took on that managerial piece. So yes, very much lots of people in our department and in other departments were redeployed. And there was a lot of fear, you know, with staff as well, you know, obviously, with dealing with what they had to deal with, and very, very changed circumstances. You're used to doing your job a certain way, and then all of a sudden things, you know, are changed completely for you, you know, and it's gradually that coming back in now, when there's a little bit more calm is quite good, you know, for everybody. Yeah, but stressful times for everybody, you know, and stressful times because people are worried about family and relatives and, you know, friends. So it is very stressful for everybody.
Hopefully we're over the worst, and we
Yeah,
don't get
yeah.
the dreaded second wave that people seem to
No.
be talking about as well. Kathy, I'm going to bring you back to 1998. You lifted the trophy, and I know I think one of our reporters, Declan Rooney, would have spoken to you for a piece for one of the All Ireland final match programs in recent times, and you recounted obviously a very sad element of that day. You lost your dad, which was in
Yeah.
massively tragic and unfortunate circumstances. Kathy, can you talk us through that element of the day and that part of the day?
I suppose I wouldn't have been aware of that until really we were almost back in the changing rooms. You know, there was a lot of excitement under the Hogan stand, and even, you know, getting the cup and all that and going under the Hogan stand. There was a lot of Louth people under the Hogan stand, and I suppose it was, so just as we were coming back to the changing rooms, my sisters would have come looking for me, you know, and just said, you have to go, and that's it. So yeah, very much. I mean, my car, sometimes I look back at this, but my car, my family had taken my car up to Crow Park and had got parked in there because Dad would have needed, he wasn't able to, he had 2 sticks, so he wasn't able to walk great distance. So I drove the car to the Mater, you know, with my family in it, when I think back about that. But yeah, and they were terrific in the Mater, but unfortunately he passed away. So it was very different for me, I suppose. You know, there was no, we had a plan in place. We were going back to the hotel, you were going to the celebration dinner that night, you know, in Dublin, which was, you know, everybody was looking forward to. So it was very different, you know, it was for us. But he was delighted, he wanted to go. It's certainly the place he would have wanted to leave this world in, is definitely Crow Park, because he was a massive GA fan, you know.
Yeah, he was a man steeped in it, wasn't he, Kathy?
Yeah. He played himself with his 2 brothers on the local teams, Taban and Parnells, and then he would have been involved. He would have played with Louth, and then he would have been involved. The last time Louth men won the All Ireland in 1957, he was one of the selectors. So yeah, he was very much involved and would have been very encouraging to all of us, you know, playing any sport. All through when we were young, you know, sort of whether it was football or basketball or whatever, you know, athletics, that's, you know, definitely would have encouraged it.
Kathy, how did you manage to deal with all of that and such a
Yeah.
bittersweet
Yeah, it
situation
was a
for you?
bit strange. I suppose it was a bit strange to come away from the group. You know, the way when, Caitríona, you'll understand that probably. You're with this group and you've been training together, and does become, you know, especially for the last few weeks in particular, you know, they're the people you're with all the time. So it was strange to come away from the group. You didn't really know what was going on, and, you know, obviously afterwards I would have realised about, you know, all the things that coming back through Drogheda and all that. They got great reception, and yeah, but there was a lot of people came to support us. You know, there was a lot of people, both, you know, all football clubs in the county, and that would have came to support him. And you heard lots of lovely stories as well. There was, certainly lovely memories of hearing stories, from older players and men of his age who came and told you different things, which was, around to death. It's always a nice time, isn't it, in this country, about the wake and, celebrating person's life. So that was good too. It helped us cope with it. But I suppose the other piece with, we were getting married 2 weeks later after the All-Ireland final. So my husband and I had planned our wedding for 2 weeks after the All-Ireland. So that was a bit of a strange, when it came, that piece was probably the strangest piece, because initially your reaction is, does this go ahead? Naturally, obviously, understandably, but which we did, we went ahead. So that probably was harder in some respects, and harder on my family, maybe more so than on me, harder on my mum and that, than perhaps, it was your wedding day, you're always going to be, look forward to it and to get glammed up and dressed up and whatever, So.
Sure. And Kathy, I know you've been asked about it before, but I really appreciate you talking about it, because it's obviously a part of your story and a part of the day, and an unfortunate part of the day, obviously, when you lift an All-Ireland title and then you hear that your dad's passed away, a bit strange. So I really, really appreciate that. Caitríona, I suppose what Kathy has talked about there is and the celebration of her dad's life, of Brian's life, and the aftermath of that was just how the Gaelic Games community can rally together and to support somebody in a very, very difficult time.
Absolutely. I think, like, as Kathy said, that group of girls that you train with, and you're with them so many times during the week, and even when you're not training with them, you're playing against them in club matches, and they become I call them my football family, and they rally around when you need them, and it's so important. And I think that's what GAA brings to the people of Ireland. I think it's that sense of community, and they're always going to be there for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Kathy, you mentioned you were a relatively late starter. Caitríona, what was your own experience of when did you first fall in love with this great game of ours?
I was a late starter too. Now, I had GAA all my life with my local club, Kilbride. My dad would have brought us to all the matches every weekend, but I didn't actually start to play until I went to Strawberry Hill, St. Mary's in Twickenham. I went over to do PE teaching over there, and I got involved with the GAA, and I've never looked back since. So I suppose, nearly 20, and I took it and I just ran with it. I just loved every bit of it. I think it's major. People don't understand until you play it. They don't understand, and you don't have to be brilliant or anything. It's the social aspect that it brings as well. It's just fantastic. I made so many friends through Gaelic football.
Yeah, we have a series of interviews going on Mondays with current players, and we entitle it My LGFA Life, and one of the questions is, what is the best part, Kathy, about ladies Gaelic football? And they always talk about, I think every answer has referenced the friendships that you make.
Yeah, definitely. And I suppose in, looking back, definitely there are lots of friends that that you still could, you could pick up the phone to at any point, and talk to them if you needed them. And I suppose then, having moved to Cavan as well, I lived in Monaghan for a while, and then I moved to Cavan. So there were friends probably in all of the counties, that if you picked up, people you've played with, that you could, or you meet again. I've met a couple of people recently, haven't seen maybe in 15 years, and you no problem, you kind of back there, you're instantly sort of, they're a friend for life, so. And definitely in these times, I suppose now, when we haven't been together, say with our local club, where you haven't been seeing people for the last number of weeks, and just things are opening up again and going back down. I have to say, down at the pitch in Ballyhales now, it's lovely to see people that you haven't seen in weeks. Just to no, you can't give them a hug, but it's a distant hug, your virtual hug, as the saying goes,
Or the elbows, the old elbow greeting that a lot of us are doing.
Or the foot tap, as we're trying to encourage them, the foot tap.
Very good. Kathy, how long did your competitive playing career last until?
I suppose, like Caitríona, I didn't start, like, actually start football, like, finish college, would you believe? So I was really out of it. I would have done athletics and basketball all the way through, you know, so didn't even play football at college. And then I suppose the year 1998 we won the All-Ireland, and then 1999 we won the Intermediate
That's
All-Ireland,
right.
which was a little bit different, I suppose. And I suppose then I would have stopped playing county at that stage, but I would have played club. I would have played club with I was with St Joseph's in Louth, and then I would have moved to, I was with Stabannon for a while, and then I would have moved to Clones in County Monaghan, and then I would have moved to Ballyhaise in County Cavan. But I probably finished up around 2005 when the
Okay.
third one came along. But last year I had to take out the boots again because we were short one day, and I stood in the goals. And that means stand in the goals. So yeah, technically the Ballyhaise crowd would say I haven't actually finished yet. They're still hoping my registration is valid till the 1st of August, but I don't see this year me making an appearance now, to be honest.
Never say never, Kathy.
There
Never
we
say
go.
never. Caitríona, yourself, are you still involved in some capacity, or what's your situation?
I retired after the year we won the All-Ireland. I knew it just takes so much commitment and so much of your time. And I actually then I just kind of just continued with club for a couple of years, and then I just got back to my old haunts of running and, you know, training. It was just the commitment level. I had played camogie as well with Denard Glen, a local team, and it just kind of, all that traveling around the county kind of takes it out of you as well. So,
Caitríona, how important is it to experience other sports? Like you mentioned camogie, and you do some running as well. How important is that in terms of an overall holistic approach to your life in a sporting sense?
Oh, I think it's really important. I think it's not only that's what I think about the running, the athletics, and Kathy, you did the athletics as
Yes.
well. You know, the individual part of, you know, you're doing it for you, and then when you go to the team, you know, you have to incorporate other people in. So it's like they're valuable life skills, I think, that you learn with the different sports, that you can take into life and into different parts of different jobs that you go to. All, you know, you have to work on your own for some things, you have to work as a team for another. So I think it does play a vital role.
Would you agree with that, Kathy?
Oh, absolutely. And even from the athletics background, you definitely see with regard to, you know, stretching, all that piece, it's massive, probably more so in athletics. And it's definitely something you can bring into the football end of things. And I do believe I was very lucky not to have any injuries, but I do credit that to that piece of always doing your stretching on your off days, you know, and trying to instill that into people now it can be quite hard, actually, unless you've come from that background, you know, the athletics background. It's a massive piece of athletics. We probably, you know, people that are not involved in it maybe don't realize. But it
also
is
with
such, yeah.
Sorry, Kathy, also with the athletics, like, you've got to be so determined and you've got to push on. You got to have that motivation yourself. And I think, you know, when you go to a team sport, it actually really helps you then to drive other people on as well. I think it's a really vital skill when you're playing sport.
Yeah, very much so. So Kathy, what are the aspirations for what's left of 2020 and the strange year that it's been? What's just try and get back to some sense of normality, I guess.
Yeah, and I suppose we had this conversation. We just had a meeting in the stand there, you know, with the coaches. And I suppose for me, I think the biggest thing is that we would have every girl back playing football that was playing before this. With all, I coach at under 14 and help at under 16 level, and so it's the natural drop off, but it would be lovely to see them all back and just enjoying their sport. Obviously we still have ambitions we were doing really well at an under 21 girls competition, which was the first time they were running it in Cavan, and it was a great competition because it brought together that 16 to 21 year old age group together to play, and it was a 9-a-side and just lovely. It's a nice competition. So we'd still hope we get there, maybe get to a final in that one. And then obviously our senior ladies, we sort of, there's a lovely bunch together. There's great numbers out, you know, coming. So that's very positive as well for the club. You know.
Very good. Kathy, a colleague of mine, Lynn Savage, an old teammate of yours, says hi as well, and it would be remiss of me not to include her in this conversation. She said you had a massive influence on her career. Caitríona, for your good self. Oh, very good, very good. Are you still in touch, Kathy?
Lynn, I probably have Lynn to thank for this. Do I? You know, who passes on my number?
Yes, absolutely. You can blame her for this. Absolutely, direct all queries to Lynn on this one by all means. Caitríona, your good self. You'll obviously be back to school. Hopefully, as you say, things will look something like they did before everything was shut down. So I'm sure you're looking forward to that.
Absolutely, can't wait. And like that, I've great teams in school, and I teach the younger girls. I do the first year and the senior girls, and I can't wait to get them back out and like that on the pitch, and because they love to express themselves on the pitch, and I don't know what way it's going to work. We don't know, but hopefully, please God, it'll be more positive than it has been in, I suppose, the last few months.
Very good. We wish you well. We wish you well. Caitríona and Kathy, it's been great having you on today. Caitríona McKeon, Wicklow's All-Ireland junior winning captain in 2011, and Kathy Clarke, Reynolds from 1998 with Louth. Ladies, an absolute pleasure and a privilege to catch up with you today. Best wishes to your respective families, and stay safe and stay well, and we'll see you on the other side of all this.
Thanks, Jackie.
Thank you, Jackie.